next thing is, we have to see how actually we can run this entire thing, right? So we created our collections, right? So and then we have to actually running is important because that's where we report the things, right? So we run the test suite as a test suite, and then no reports and logs we provide as an information. So Postman gives two ways of running it. One is like from the Postman itself we can run and we can see reports, and there is a option to see a dashboard also in Postman. But yeah, again the dashboard facility, yeah, you can see this reports tab, right? So this reports actually not available for the free version of Postman. Like this is only available for the enterprise paid version of Postman. So I will not be able to show you doing it, but we will see how we can actually run it from Postman, and then we'll also see how we can run it from Newman and generate a know HTML kind of report out of it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, before doing that, right? So another important thing is here. Postman no doesn't allow to run multiple collections here. At a time, you can run only one collection. Okay, and Newman also same thing. At a time, it allows only running one collection. But Newman, it is possible because we can always create a batch file, right? And run Newman multiple times to run multiple collections and generate reports. But in that case you have to actually write a script to combine all the reports, because all the collection reports will come separately there, right? So when you run a single run, right, so there will be only one report, and when you are running another collection there will be another report, so it will be like a separate report for all your collections. So generally we don't prefer, right, to create separate reports for our testing. So what we can do here is like another way to mitigate that. Basically, if you see in my collection, right, day 6 collection, I created folders. Okay, so you can create no segregate your test logically. For example, you have some authorization test, then probably you have some admin related test, then probably your feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 kind of test, right? So you can create folders, and you can keep all your requests under each logically named folder. So this will solve your purpose, and your test also will be structured in a logical manner. Okay, so and when it runs basically from the collection runner, right, I'll show you that it will pick the order the way you have actually given here. Like for test case 1 I have given cookies and then crude get unicorns, right? So it will run in that order, it will maintain that order. Okay, so let's see, but yeah, order we can change, and even if you want to run from Newman, if you want to change the order again, you have to for running in the Newman, basically you have to export the collection to a file, right? So that collection JSON file we need, and in case any manipulation modification you want to do, you have to do it in that file. But I would prefer, like, if you know the order, instead of touching those exported files, we can actually create the order here only, right? So here it is easy, like you can just drag and drop and change the order. You make it in a order the way you want to execute, and it will pick, and it will be easy for us to manage. This folder creation, yeah, it is simple. You have to click on here and add a folder. Okay, so that is the folder creation option they are providing in this menu. So once you add a folder, Under the folder you can create your request. So see, the test actually will be always part of the request, right? So you cannot write a test outside the request. So in real time, what I would prefer is like, keep your folder structure minimum, like, only the logically related request, keep it under one folder, so that tomorrow if that functionality changes, right, so you can very well, it is something similar to the way we manage our Selenium test, right? So we create our own folder structures, and feature wise or functionality wise we divide it. Suppose you have a feature call adding a, doing a checkout, right? Now for doing a checkout from in a e-commerce application, you might be having some 5 6 requests to test, right? So
Yeah.
you have to search a product, you have to add the product to cart, and then you do a checkout and then make payment, right? So in that way, like if you can segregate functionality wise and create a folder, you will be able to manage it well. Otherwise if you put like everything under one folder, then we don't know, like you have to go through each and every request and see what kind of test has been added and what that particular actually request is doing, right?
Yeah.
So that will not be a good option. I would prefer like functionality wise you divide and make it small, like all functionalities, you keep it in under one folder,
Okay. Then.
which you can run independently tomorrow. Like suppose you want to run only test case 2, you don't want to run test case 1, right? You can actually skip that in your in our in I'll show you that while running, no, you can skip folders
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so while running, when you put all the things in the UI, there like checkbox are there, so you can actually skip it and then run only specific folders.
Yeah.
Okay, so even when you add okay, I'll tell you one more thing. Postman provides another, okay, so see, if you come here, this is the documentation, default documentation Postman actually generates, okay, for your collection.
Okay.
Okay, so if you go here, you can I think there was an option to edit also. I'll check it. Okay, I'll show you that. I mean, you can add also documentation here. So suppose you have created feature wise folders, right? So you can add the corresponding no description and all in your request, so that people who are actually executing it, then they can see and know, like, okay, what exactly this test is doing. But yeah, default documentation it will create like this. Run collection. So this is the collection runner, no, that Postman is providing. So if you see, no, first is test case 1 folder, then in the test case 2, I have added some 4, right? So those are getting added. So if you uncheck it, you can, that will not basically will get executed. And then here is a iteration count, like how many times you want to run basically, right? So for that particular iteration, right? So how many times, like you want to execute this particular test for 2 times, 3 times. So the iteration count you can give. You can also give a delay, like if you want to set some delay between iterations, then you can set it delay. Data tab, yeah, we have not done so far the data selection part, but yeah, so suppose you have this particular for no 6 test, and that you are reading some data from a file, so you can select no that data file. Basically, I think it supports JSON and XML data file. So you'll see in the upcoming sessions like how we can actually use data selection. But yeah, so after giving all this, so you can just click on run. No, it will run here. Let me show you running that. So it was quick. So you can see, there is a tab called view results. Okay. So there you can see, no, the complete summary of your test, whether test is pass or test is fail, you know, and if you have added any test, right? So otherwise if you are not adding test, then the pass fail will not come. If you see the second get request, right? So this is, yeah, my API key is changed, so it is, I'm getting 400 bed request, and that request I have not added any test. So it will mention like, okay, this request does not have any test basically. No, if test is there, sorry, if test is there, you can see pass, fail, or skip, right? So the one test you can see skip also uh, those messages, and otherwise you can see only like the request has been executed. Okay, this is the summary Postman is actually giving us. There's an option called run again. There is an option called new. So new means, it will go here again back. So you can run it, and let's see what happens if I give 2, and I can give some 5 milliseconds delay and run it. If you see, if you're seeing, right, so it executed for 2 iterations, and here you can see the results for both iteration 1 and iteration 2. Okay, and you can export these results, no, to your local folder. So if I go to my Postman folder, so you can see no, one JSON file has been created. So when you export the results, right, so I'll just open it. Basically whatever we have been executed, right, all the things will be part of this particular file, the complete results. Now one way of creating a another report, right, since Postman is not giving us dashboard facility, is actually parsing this file, and and then create our own report templates. That is also a possible solution. Otherwise we have in Newman we have a HTML reporter, so which we can use to generate HTML reports. But yeah, when you create your own, so you can very well customize it, so additional stuffs and all you can do. Otherwise if you're reusing something which is already available, I think you have to use whatever facilities they are providing. But at least to generate or create a report from this file, you will have all kind of information, right? So let's go through this, like okay, did I show you the collection ID anytime? This is, I think, your run ID. And there is, okay, I'll show you that. There is one information here. If you click on that collection, right? So, and if you click on this I info icon, so there is basically one ID here. This is the ID of the collection. I guess here also it is taking that ID. No, this is run ID, I guess. This is different. Yeah, this is here, collection ID. If you can see, collection ID and they are picking it. Okay, so this collection ID you can get it from here. So you just click on that no collection. Okay, then click on that info and you can copy that collection ID. Why this collection ID is important? Sometimes Postman actually provides some of its own internal APIs for test for learning purpose, right? So using this collection IDs, you can actually use some of their APIs. I mean, most of their APIs actually needs that collection ID basically. So this is the place from where you can copy your collection ID, and in the report also you can see the same collection ID, right? Now again it is giving the environment ID also, and total pass count and total fail count is 0. Then you are seeing the results, right? So results will be a array of JSON. Okay, so you can see first iteration, right? The first request basically, there is another ID here, right? I think that is coming from your request. Let me check it. App cookies. This is the request ID basically. If this is available somewhere. Okay, that is not. Okay, maybe it is giving a results ID only. It is not picking the request ID. So name, whatever name of the request we have given, then what is the response code and how much time it took, right? And it will also show the test basically, right? So that particular test, I think we have added only one test, so it is showing that test, and yeah, pass or fail and the time. Okay, and then second request is crude get unicorns. In your case, maybe whatever request you have given. Here you can see no that request. I am getting a bad request response, right? So the response code is 400. So all the details of our test cases or test request, right, will be present in this file. You can verify that well. Two iterations I have we have executed two iterations, and two iterations results should be available here. Cool. So Newman, right? So Postman provides this package Newman, right? So that is a node package again. So using Newman we can automatically run our test from the command line. So to use Newman you have to install basically two packages. Okay, so yeah, so you can first install the first two packages. One is Newman and second one is reporter, HTML reporter. So then we will run our test using Newman and see how it looks like. I'll request you to first go to your command line and install first two package basically whatever I have given here. Next step will be like we have to export our collection. Okay, go to Postman. Okay, and then here there's an option to export. Okay, so you can click on export and export the collection. This is the command. Let me try that one more time. So I'll export it first. Okay, here's the collection. Yeah, So basically, when you run only with Newman, right? So it will give you the results in the console. So for the HTML reporter, it will generate a neat looking HTML file. So you have to use this particular command. You can try that and created the report, I think, for me. It will look like this. Yeah. So basically, in the report, you can see the request, right? And you can also see failed test, skipped test. It will highlight with yellow color, okay, and failed test red color, and how many total requests, all the things basically. This report looks actually pretty decent, right? So I don't think we need anything extra because it has all the things, at least with from a testing point of view, and the proper summary also. So this report we can use to publish basically, right? So when you run your test from a CI or another tool, so you can use this particular report for publishing your results. So this is the one, like, hyphen hyphen folder, right? So in hyphen hyphen folder, it specify a single folder to run from a collection, right? You can give the folder name, and from where you another option is this one actually is important, environment. See, suppose you have your test defined for two environment, right? So your dev environment or and your staging environment, right? So and the URLs might be different for dev environment as well as staging environment, right? It may point to different URLs, right? So Newman, using Newman, actually you should be able to run pointing your test to a particular environment. Okay, so what you need to do basically, I think you need to export your environment and you need to provide that here, like which environment, like that will be a JSON file, and then we can run against that particular environment. So if I go to Postman, let's see if we can export environment. It is there. And this is, I think, not coming from test. Yeah, so I can export it. Yeah, so basically, this my test environment will get exported to again a JSON file, I guess. Let me check it. Yeah, so I have the test environment. So it has a environment ID and all the key values, right? If I run my this one and hyphen E and test environment. Yeah, yeah. I think global variable also you can export, and mostly more than global variable, test environment is important. Like global variable, again, that is not a very good practice to use, right? So as Postman also suggests global and local. So but environment variable is important because we actually set many things in the environment variable, right? So and you may need to, that is a very frequent use case, like you may need to run your test across multiple environments. But here, yeah, they are providing an option to global also as a JSON file. You can export it and you can use it, but environment is more important here. Your core domain or host name, right? So or domain name, so those kind of things you should always specify in your environment variable. And you have two environment variables, right? So you can always point to that particular environment when you actually execute it. So you are able to run against an environment. Probably I'll suggest you create two environment and just change the stuff and then try to run it. Global variables, suppose you want to reuse something across multiple collections, then only you should use global variables. Otherwise, I didn't see any much uses actually in the global variables. You have multiple collections and you are maintaining multiple collections and you want to reuse something across all the collections, you can use global. Otherwise, environment variable is actually sufficient for us. Environment related details like your URLs, the domains, port number, if port is there, those kind of things you can put it in environment variable, and collection level details, it is better to put it in collection variable. Okay, and you can also specify the number of iterations here, as we have executed last, right? Only I think we have executed for one time. So if we want to execute for 10 times, we can do that here. Specify, I think, n. N2. I just want to see the report when I give two iteration. Okay, so if I go to Newman, yeah, this is the one I used. Actually, here, okay, two iterations. Is it giving iteration wise? Total is fine. I think it is combining, right? Okay, here it is giving iteration 1, iteration 2. This can be useful, suppose you are doing a regression test or bug verification test, right? So you are seeing, reports maybe which is not consistent, right? So maybe manually you are executing and you are seeing it is pass, but in your test, you are seeing something which is failed. So you can always, run multiple times and see the consistency of your results. So sometimes like, API, maybe the next iteration you can see API request is proper, but first iteration, it failed, maybe it timed out, we don't know the reason. So that is one use case I could see, multiple iterations. It will help when you run the same test with multiple data set. That is different. Okay, so I think Postman will consider that also as a that will also get added to a iteration count when you suppose you want to test a particular request with 5 data set which you will be reading from a file, okay, JSON file or CSV file, and you will be running the same get call 5 times, different data. That makes sense. Another use case I would say, you want to verify the, it's kind of a load test kind of stuff, right? So in load test only, more than functional test, iteration helps in the load test. Okay, when you do a load testing, right, so you may need to run the same thing, maybe 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, right? And you want to measure the response. But Postman gives us the response time, right, for each request. In that case, I think your multiple iteration makes sense.